Long ago, in the land of Babylon, there lived a wise and brave man named Daniel. Daniel loved God with all his heart. Every day, no matter what, he prayed to God 3 times a day. But some mean officials didn't like that. They tricked King Darius into making a law. Nobody can pray to anyone but me, and if they do, it's off to the lion's den. Did Daniel stop praying? No way. Daniel kept praying to God, just like always. The king liked Daniel, but he had to follow the law. So, into the lion's den Daniel went. But guess what? God sent an angel to shut the lions' mouths. They didn't even nibble. The next morning, King Darius shouted, "Daniel, are you okay?" "I'm great, Your Majesty. God kept me safe." And from that day on, everyone knew. God protects those who trust in him. So remember, kids, when you stand for God, he stands with you. Good night, little torch. Keep shining bright. Tonight's tiny torch shines on a brave boy and a giant problem. David wasn't a soldier, he was a shepherd. He spent his days watching sheep, playing music, and talking to God. He was the youngest in his family, too young for battle, too small for armor. But David loved God big time, and he believed that God could do anything. One day, a big giant named Goliath shouted at Israel's army, "Send someone to fight me." But everyone was afraid. No one dared to face him. For 40 days, Goliath yelled, and for 40 days, the soldiers hid. When David brought lunch to his brothers, he heard the giants roar. "Why is no one fighting him? God is bigger than that giant." Everyone laughed, but David believed. David said, "I'll fight him. God will help me." David didn't wear armor. He didn't carry a sword, just a sling and 5 smooth stones and a heart full of faith. David shouted, "You come with a sword, but I come with the power of God." David swung his sling and a stone flew through the air. Whiz, thunk! Goliath wobbled and crashed to the ground. David won the battle because he trusted God. No matter how big your problems feel, you're never too small when God stands with you. Good night, little torch. Keep shining bright. Tonight's Tiny Torch bedtime story is about a brave and wise woman named Deborah, a hero who led with courage when no one else would. Long ago, God's people were in trouble. They had turned away from him and were being treated badly by a powerful enemy. But God didn't forget them. He chose Deborah, a prophet and a judge, to help. Deborah would sit under a palm tree and help people solve problems. But one day, she had a message from God to send a man named Barak to lead the army into battle. Barak was afraid and said, "I'll only go if you go with me." And do you know what Deborah said? "I will go." So together, with God's help, they marched into battle. And even though the enemy had iron chariots, God gave them victory. Deborah sang a song of praise, saying, "March on, my soul, be strong." She was brave, she trusted God, and she led the way. Good night, little torch. Be brave like Deborah, and trust that God is always with you. Tonight's Tiny Torch bedtime story is about a brave man named Joshua and his willingness to obey God's instructions. Long ago, God gave his people a huge promise, a special land just for them. But right in their way stood the mighty city of Jericho, with walls so tall they touched the sky. How would they ever get in? God chose a brave leader named Joshua, and guess what? God didn't give him swords or ladders. He gave him instructions. March around the city once a day for 6 days, God said. And on the 7th day, march around 7 times, then blow your trumpets and shout. It sounded so strange, but Joshua trusted God completely. So they marched once, twice, every day. People in Jericho must have thought it was silly. But on day 7, after the 7th lap, the priests blew their horns and everyone shouted with all their might. And guess what? Crash! The walls came tumbling down, just like God said. Joshua was brave, not because he was strong, but because he listened and obeyed God, even when it didn't make sense. God's ways are always right, and when we trust him, amazing things can happen. Good night, little torch. God wants what is best for us. Welcome to Tiny Torch Bedtime Stories, where little lights shine bright. Tonight's true and brave story is Esther, the queen who saved her people. Once upon a time, in the land of Persia, there lived a kind and beautiful girl named Esther. She was raised by her cousin Mordecai, and they loved God with all their hearts. One day, the king needed a new queen, and out of everyone in the land, he chose Esther. But she had a secret. Esther was Jewish, and not everyone in the palace liked her people. Then came a man named Haman, who who made a wicked plan to hurt all the Jews. When Mordecai heard, he told Esther, "Maybe this is why God made you queen, for such a time as this." Esther was scared. Going to the king without being asked could mean big trouble, maybe even death. But she prayed, fasted, and chose to be brave. She went to the king and told him the truth about Haman's evil plan. The king was shocked, and he stopped Haman. Esther's courage and faith saved her people. God put Esther in just the right place at just the right time. And guess what? He can use you too, no matter how small you feel. Good night, little torch. Keep shining bright for God. Welcome to Tiny Torch Bedtime Stories, where little lights shine bright. Tonight's brave story is about friends in a fiery furnace. In the land of Babylon, 3 brave friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, loved and obeyed God with all their hearts. One day, King Nebuchadnezzar built a huge golden statue. When the music plays, he declared, everyone must bow to it or be thrown into a fiery furnace. The music played, but the 3 friends stood tall. We will never bow to a statue. We only worship the one true God. The king was furious. Heat the furnace 7 times hotter, he yelled. The fire was so hot, it killed the soldiers who threw them in. But inside the flames, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego weren't burning. They were walking around, completely unharmed. And then a 4th person appeared with them. The king was shocked. Didn't we throw in 3? I see 4. And one looks like the Son of God, he called them out. Not a hair was singed. They didn't even smell like smoke. Because they trusted God, he was with them in the fire, and he'll be with you too, no matter what. Good night, little torch. Keep shining bright for God.